Admiral Jake Morrison walked into the great hall with steady steps. The Galactic Council chamber stretched before him like a vast arena. Hundreds of alien eyes watched his every move. Their stares felt cold and sharp as knives. The air hummed with quiet whispers in languages he could not understand, but he knew what they were saying. They were talking about Earth. They were talking about humans. They were not saying good things. The council chamber was built to make visitors feel small. Crystal pillars reached up to a ceiling lost in shadows. Floating platforms held the delegates from dozens of worlds. Each platform glowed with the colors of different star systems. The Zorathian section pulsed with green light. The Helian area shone blue and silver. The Saurian platform flickered with red and gold flames. Ambassador Lisa Carter walked beside Morrison. Her face showed no fear, but he could see the tension in her shoulders. She had worked for 2 years to arrange this meeting. 2 years of sending messages across space. 2 years of waiting for replies. 2 years of hope that Earth might finally join the galactic community. Now that hope seemed very fragile. Admiral Vextar rose from the Zorathian platform. His insect body towered 3 meters tall. Crystalline armor covered his chest and arms. 4 eyes focused on Morrison with laser precision. When he spoke, his voice clicked and buzzed like machinery. The translation device made his words clear but kept the cold tone. We have reviewed your application. We have studied your military reports. We have examined your technology. The Council finds Earth lacking in all areas. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are weak. Your people have no understanding of real space warfare. You ask to join civilizations that have traveled between stars for thousands of years. You offer nothing but primitive tools and backward thinking. Morrison kept his face blank. Inside his jacket pocket was a small data pad. On that pad were files marked with the highest security codes Earth possessed. Files about Project Leviathan. Files about ships being built in the dark side of Luna. Files about weapons that could crack planets. But those files would stay secret for now. Commander Zixoth floated down from the Helian platform. His blue skin rippled with patterns of light. Gills fluttered along his neck as he breathed the special atmosphere around his body. The Helians lived in water worlds where thoughts moved faster than speech. They considered themselves the most advanced minds in the galaxy. Your largest warship measures only 600 meters. Our smallest patrol craft is larger than that. You have fusion drives that move slower than our cargo haulers. You have kinetic weapons that fire metal slugs. We stopped using such crude tools before your species learned to make fire. Your navy would be destroyed in minutes against any real threat. Laughter echoed through the chamber. Not human laughter, but the alien sounds that meant the same thing. Clicks and whistles and growling sounds. The Saurian delegate made a sound like steam escaping from hot rocks. His reptilian head bobbed up and down in amusement. Morrison watched Ambassador Carter clench her hands into fists. Morrison stepped forward. His voice carried clearly through the vast space. We understand the Council has concerns about Earth's readiness. We are prepared to address those concerns through demonstration. Our Navy may seem small, but we have made significant advances in recent years. We request the opportunity to prove our worth through action rather than paperwork. Admiral Vextar's clicking grew louder. The sound reminded Morrison of insects feeding on something dead. Demonstration. You want to show us your primitive weapons. You want to prove that humans deserve to stand among the great powers of this galaxy. Very well. Show us what your kind can do against a real enemy. The Helians and my people often have disagreements. Perhaps your little fleet can help us settle our next dispute. The chamber grew quiet. Morrison felt the weight of hundreds of alien minds judging him, judging his species, judging everything humanity had built among the stars. The silence stretched until it became almost painful. Then Morrison spoke again. His words were simple and clear. Earth accepts the challenge. We will prove our worth when the time comes. But we will not be used as pawns in your wars. If conflict arises, we will respond according to our own judgment. We will protect innocent life above all else. That is what separates us from those who see war as entertainment. Commander Zixoth's skin patterns flashed with bright colors. The display meant anger in Helian body language. Innocent life. You speak of concepts you do not understand. In real space combat, there are no innocents. There are only the strong and the dead. Your naive morality will be educated quickly when actual violence begins. Morrison pulled out his data pad, but not the one with the secret files. This one held the official report about Earth's Navy. 36 cruiser-class ships, 12 destroyer-class vessels, 6 battleship-class carriers, numbers that looked pathetic compared to the fleets controlled by the major powers. He read the numbers aloud without shame or apology. The Saurian delegate stood up on his platform. Scales reflected the chamber lights like polished metal. His voice rumbled deep and low. 54 ships total. My personal guard fleet has more vessels than your entire navy. We assign more firepower to escort our trade convoys. You are children playing with toys while adults conduct real business. More laughter filled the chamber. Morrison let it wash over him like noise from a distant storm. He had expected this reaction. Earth's intelligence services had warned him about galactic arrogance. The major powers measured strength only in numbers and raw firepower. They had never encountered an enemy that fought with strategy instead of size. Admiral Vextar waved a clawed hand for silence. The laughter stopped immediately. When the great powers spoke, the lesser races listened. That was how things worked in the galactic order. Earth was clearly a lesser race in their eyes. Perhaps the lowest race they had encountered in centuries. The Council has reached its decision. Earth's application for membership is denied. Your technology is insufficient. Your military is inadequate. Your understanding of galactic politics is childlike. Return to your small world and develop for another 1,000 years. Perhaps then you will be ready to join civilized society. Ambassador Carter stepped forward. Her diplomatic training took over even as her heart sank. The people of Earth will be disappointed but not surprised. We have always known that joining the galactic community would be difficult. We will continue to grow and learn. Perhaps in time our paths will cross again under better circumstances. Morrison said nothing more. There was nothing left to say that would change any minds in this chamber. The aliens had made their choice based on old thinking and older prejudices. They saw only what they expected to see. They measured only what they understood how to measure. They would learn their mistake soon enough. The formal rejection document materialized in the air above their heads. Holographic text in dozens of languages spelled out the same message. Earth was not ready. Earth was not worthy. Earth was not welcome. Morrison memorized every word. History would judge which side had been wise and which had been foolish. As they walked back toward the exit, Morrison noticed something. The chamber had monitors showing fleet movements throughout the galaxy. Hundreds of ships moving between star systems, thousands more in defensive positions around major worlds. The combined naval power of the galactic community was truly massive, but it was also spread thin across vast distances. Ambassador Carter waited until they were outside the chamber before speaking. They could have at least given us observer status. Some kind of associate membership. Complete rejection seems excessive even by their standards. I think they enjoyed humiliating us more than they cared about fair evaluation. Morrison touched the secret datapad in his pocket. Soon those same aliens would learn what real humiliation felt like. But not yet. First, Earth needed to finish preparing. The shipyards on Luna were working day and night. The weapon tests were going better than anyone had dared hope. Project Leviathan was almost ready. They have no idea what's coming. Morrison kept that thought to himself as they boarded the small Earth transport ship. The pilot was already preparing for departure. Soon they would be jumping back to Earth space, back to report the failure of diplomacy, back to authorize the next phase of humanity's real plan. As their ship pulled away from Proxima Station, Morrison looked back at the massive structure. Ships from every major civilization docked at its ports. Trade and politics and military planning all happened within those metal walls. The galactic powers thought they controlled everything that mattered. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. The jump to hyperspace engaged with a familiar lurch. Stars stretched into lines of light as they accelerated beyond normal physics. Morrison closed his eyes and thought about the secret files in his pocket. 24 ships, each one 12 kilometers long. Each one carrying weapons that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. Each one almost ready for launch. Admiral Vextar and Commander Zixoth and all the others would get their demonstration soon enough. They had asked to see what humanity could do in real space combat. They would get their wish, but not in the way they expected. Not as allies or junior partners. They would see human naval power as targets and enemies. The galaxy had rejected Earth. Now Earth would show the galaxy what rejection really meant. Fleet Admiral Kate Thompson stood in the observation deck of Luna Base Omega. Through the reinforced glass, she could see the greatest secret in human history. The hidden shipyard stretched across the dark side of the moon like a mechanical city. Massive construction bays carved deep into lunar rock hummed with constant activity. Robot arms moved like giant spiders building something too large to understand. The first ship was almost complete. The UES Thunderbolt floated in its construction bay like a sleeping giant, 12 kilometers from bow to stern, 3 kilometers wide at its widest point. The hull gleamed with metal alloys that did not exist in any public database. Weapons ports lined its sides like the eyes of some ancient dragon. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Captain Ryan Burke walked up beside her. His reflection in the glass looked tired but excited. He had been living at Luna Base for 3 years preparing for this moment, training with systems that pushed the limits of human understanding, learning to command a ship that could destroy entire fleets by itself. She's ready for initial power tests. Dr. Rodriguez finished the final calibrations on the gravitic drive yesterday. We could have her moving under her own power within the week. The crew is eager to see what she can really do. They've been running simulations for months, but nothing compares to the real thing. Thompson nodded without taking her eyes off the ship. 50 years of secret research had led to this moment. 50 years of studying crashed alien vessels. 50 years of reverse engineering technology that the galactic powers thought was beyond human reach. They had been wrong about many things, but mostly wrong about human determination. Dr. Alex Rodriguez joined them at the observation window. His hair had gone completely gray during the final years of the project. The stress of keeping such massive secrets had aged all of them. But the results were worth every sleepless night and every moment of doubt. Humanity now possessed the most advanced warships in the galaxy. The adaptive armor plating is responding perfectly to the test protocols. The metal actually learns from each impact and adjusts its molecular structure to resist similar attacks. After a few hits from plasma weapons, the armor becomes almost immune to that type of damage. The aliens have never seen anything like it. Burke pulled up a holographic display showing the ship's weapon systems. Quantum disruption cannons lined the main firing decks. Each cannon could tear holes in space itself. The targeting computers could track thousands of enemy ships simultaneously while calculating firing solutions that accounted for relativistic effects and gravitational distortion. How many shots would it take to destroy a Zorathian dreadnought? Burke asked the question everyone wanted answered. Rodriguez smiled for the first time in months. 1 shot to disable, 2 shots to destroy completely. Their heaviest armor would offer no protection against quantum disruption. We've tested the weapons against sample plates of their hull material. Thompson walked along the observation deck toward another construction bay. The second Titan-class ship was taking shape rapidly. Automated systems worked around the clock building humanity's hidden fleet. Each ship required materials from across the solar system. Asteroid mining operations provided rare metals, while Jupiter's moons supplied fuel for the fusion plants. Commander Nina Brooks was running flight drills in one of the completed sections. The fighter bays of a Titan-class ship could launch 500 small craft simultaneously. Each fighter used the same advanced technology as the main ship. Pilots needed months of training just to understand the basic control systems. Brooks had been skeptical when they first offered her the position. A small woman from the asteroid colonies who had never flown anything larger than a patrol craft. But she learned faster than anyone expected. Her understanding of 3-dimensional combat in zero gravity was almost supernatural. The other pilots followed her lead without question. The quantum communications array is operational on all completed ships. Captain Steve Mason monitored the testing from the Central Command Center. Messages could travel instantly between ships regardless of distance. No more waiting hours or days for orders to reach distant fleets. No more fighting blind because commanders could not coordinate their forces. Mason had developed the stealth systems that kept the entire project hidden from alien observation. Sensor dampening fields made the construction sites invisible to most scanning methods. Ships could operate completely undetected until they chose to reveal themselves. The element of surprise would be total and devastating. 24 ships total when the project reached completion. Each one crewed by 8,000 of the best people humanity could provide. Scientists and soldiers and engineers all working together toward a single goal. They would show the galaxy that humans deserved respect rather than mockery. Thompson received the message from Admiral Morrison while she was reviewing construction schedules. The Galactic Council had rejected Earth's membership application. The alien powers had laughed at human naval strength. They had made their decision based on incomplete information and arrogant assumptions. The time for hiding was almost over. Soon the Titan fleet would emerge from the shadows of Luna. Soon the galaxy would learn what human engineering could accomplish when pushed to its limits. The rejection from the Council only made the eventual revelation more satisfying. Burke stood beside the Thunderbolt's main gangway. His crew was already aboard running final system checks. 8,000 people living and working inside a machine designed for war. They knew their mission would change everything. They knew the galaxy would never be the same after they finished their work. The artificial gravity generators produced perfect Earth-normal conditions throughout the ship. Hydroponics bays could feed the entire crew fresh food for years. Manufacturing facilities could produce spare parts and ammunition without resupply. Each Titan-class ship was completely self-sufficient for extended operations. Rodriguez walked through the engineering sections, checking every system personally. The fusion reactors that powered each ship produced more energy than some entire star systems consumed. Backup reactors could maintain full power, even if the main system suffered catastrophic damage. Redundancy was built into every critical system. The crew quarters were designed for comfort during long missions. Each person had private space and access to recreational facilities. Virtual reality systems could simulate any environment from Earth's history. The goal was to keep morale high during operations that might last for years. Thompson called a meeting of the senior staff. The construction schedule was ahead of expectations. They could launch the first squadron of ships months earlier than planned. The question was whether humanity should wait for the full fleet or begin operations with partial strength. Mason argued for waiting until all 24 ships were ready. Maximum force would ensure complete success with minimum casualties. Brooks disagreed. She wanted to begin operations immediately with whatever ships were available. The element of surprise was too valuable to waste while they waited for perfect conditions. Burke supported a middle approach. Launch 12 ships initially to establish human naval presence in key systems. Keep the remaining ships in reserve for unexpected complications. Demonstrate overwhelming superiority without revealing the full extent of human capabilities. Rodriguez had practical concerns about launching too early. The weapon systems needed more testing under combat conditions. The crews needed more training with the advanced technology. Rushing into action might expose weaknesses that enemies could exploit in future encounters. Thompson listened to all the arguments before making her decision. The Galactic Council had made their choice about Earth's worthiness. Now Earth would respond with actions rather than words. The Titan fleet would launch when the moment was right. That moment was approaching faster than any of them had expected. Reports from Earth intelligence showed increasing tensions between the major galactic powers. The Zorathians and Helians were positioning fleets near disputed systems. Trade disputes were escalating into military threats. The galaxy was moving toward a conflict that would provide the perfect opportunity for human intervention. Thompson walked back to the observation deck as the shift change began. Thousands of workers moved through the tunnels and corridors of Luna Base. All of them keeping the secret that would reshape galactic civilization. All of them working toward the day when humanity would take its rightful place among the stars. The UES Thunderbolt was beautiful in the construction bay lights. Soon she would move under her own power for the first time. Soon she would carry her crew into the depths of space. Soon the galaxy would learn that humans were not the primitive species they appeared to be. Burke sent the final readiness report to Thompson's personal terminal. All systems tested and operational. Crew training complete. Weapons calibrated and ready. The first Titan-class warship of Earth's secret navy was ready to change history. The only question remaining was when to begin. The first shot of the war came without warning. A Zorathian patrol ship fired on a Helian mining station in the Kepler 442 system. The mining station exploded in a ball of superheated plasma. 3,000 Helian workers died in the first second of what would become the largest galactic conflict in 2 centuries. Admiral Vextar commanded the Zorathian battle fleet from his flagship Doom of Enemies. The massive vessel stretched 4 kilometers from nose to tail. Its weapons could sterilize entire planets if given enough time. Behind it followed 200 ships of various sizes and classes. The pride of the Zorathian Empire moving to claim systems they believed belonged to them by right. General Kixrath responded with equal force. The Helian Federation called up reserves from 6 core worlds. Their ships moved in perfect formation like schools of metal fish swimming through space. Blue and silver hulls reflected starlight as they positioned themselves for battle. The Helians had been preparing for this conflict for decades. Captain Troy Mitchell watched the buildup from the bridge of his Earth cruiser Defiant. The small ship was technically on a routine patrol mission. In reality, Mitchell had orders to observe and report on any major developments between the galactic powers. Earth wanted advance warning before any serious conflicts began. The scale of the fleets was beyond anything humans had imagined. Zorathian dreadnoughts moved like floating cities bristling with weapon turrets. Helian carriers launched thousands of fighter craft that swarmed through space in complex attack patterns. The combined firepower of both fleets could reduce entire star systems to glowing debris. Mitchell sent encrypted reports back to Earth Command every few hours. The intelligence would help human planners understand how galactic warfare actually worked. Most of Earth's knowledge came from old databases and captured alien technology. This was the first chance to observe modern fleet tactics in real combat conditions. The Saurian Republic declared support for the Zorathians after the first week of fighting. Their reptilian warships joined the battle with weapons that fired concentrated stellar plasma. Each shot carried the destructive power of a small star compressed into a focused beam. Helian shields began failing under the combined assault. The Vorthan alliance sided with the Helians 2 days later. Their crystalline ships looked fragile but moved faster than anything else in space. Vorthan weapon technology used sonic resonance to shatter enemy hulls from the inside. The sound of their attacks could be heard across light years as metal screamed and broke apart. Ambassador Lisa Carter received desperate messages from neutral worlds caught between the warring fleets. Civilian populations were fleeing their homes as battles raged in nearby systems. Refugee ships packed with families and children headed toward any safe harbor they could find. The war was spreading beyond military targets. Earth's small fleet tried to help where possible. Commander Julia Barnes led humanitarian missions to evacuate trapped civilians. Her ships could only carry a few hundred people at a time while millions needed rescue. Every trip meant leaving thousands behind to face an uncertain fate. Barnes watched a Helian colony world burn as Zorathian bombardment ships reduced cities to ash. The civilian population had tried to surrender, but their communications were jammed by military interference. 20 million people died while she could only save a few thousand. The mathematics of war were brutal and unforgiving. General Kixrath planned his next offensive from the Helian command ship Tidal Force. His tactical displays showed fleet positions across dozens of star systems. The Zorathians were overextended, but still dangerous. A coordinated strike at their supply lines might cripple their entire war effort. Kixrath was considered the finest military mind of his generation. His strategies had won victories against impossible odds. But this conflict was different. The stakes were higher than any previous war. Defeat would mean the complete destruction of Helian civilization. The battle for the Kepler 442 system lasted 6 days. Ships fought across billions of kilometers of space while planets burned below them. Debris clouds from destroyed vessels created hazards for navigation. The system's star itself was damaged by stray weapons fire and began showing signs of instability. Mitchell pulled his ship back to a safe distance as the final phase began. Both fleets were badly damaged, but neither side would retreat. The Zorathians had lost half their heavy ships while the Helians were down to less than 40% strength. Still, they continued fighting with desperate fury. Trade routes throughout the galaxy shut down as merchant ships refused to travel through war zones. The galactic economy began collapsing as vital supplies failed to reach their destinations. Food shortages appeared on worlds that had not seen hunger in centuries. The conflict was affecting every species in known space. Admiral Vextar made the decision that would escalate the war beyond all previous limits. The Zorathian High Command authorized strikes against Helian core worlds. Not just military targets, but civilian centers. They would force surrender through terror and genocide rather than military victory. The first planet-killer weapon fired from a Zorathian super dreadnought hidden in deep space. The beam took 3 minutes to reach its target. When it struck the Helian world of New Pacifica, the entire planet cracked like an egg. 15 billion people died as their homeworld broke apart. Barnes arrived at New Pacifica 12 hours too late. Her rescue ships found only floating debris and radiation signatures where a living world had existed. The scale of destruction was beyond human comprehension. An entire civilization wiped out in a single moment. General Kixrath responded with equal brutality. Helian deep strike forces targeted Zorathian colony worlds with biological weapons. Plague ships released engineered viruses that killed only Zorathian genetic patterns. Billions more died as the war moved beyond any pretense of military honor. The galactic communications networks carried news of each atrocity to every inhabited world. Fear spread faster than the war itself as species realized no one was safe from the escalating violence. Ancient alliances broke apart as everyone chose sides or tried desperately to remain neutral. Mitchell transmitted a final report to Earth before his ship was detected by Zorathian scouts. The war had moved beyond conventional conflict into something approaching mutual extinction. Neither side would accept defeat while the other survived. The galaxy was tearing itself apart. Ambassador Carter called an emergency session of Earth's High Council. The reports from the war zone painted a picture of complete civilizational breakdown. Billions dead and billions more would follow. Someone had to stop the madness before it consumed everything. Someone had to impose peace through superior force. The decision was unanimous despite the risks involved. Earth would reveal its secret fleet to end the Galactic War. The Titan-class ships would emerge from hiding to force both sides into immediate ceasefire. Humanity would save the galaxy from itself, even if that meant revealing their greatest secrets. Admiral Vextar prepared his final offensive against the remaining Helian core worlds. Victory was within reach after months of brutal fighting. The Zorathian Empire would emerge as the sole galactic superpower. All other species would serve them or face the same fate as New Pacifica. General Kixrath gathered his surviving forces for a desperate last stand. The Helian Federation was dying, but they would not surrender while any of their people remained alive. Better to fight to extinction than live as slaves under Zorathian rule. Honor demanded nothing less than total commitment. Neither commander knew that human ships were already moving through hyperspace toward their positions. Fleet Admiral Kate Thompson had given the launch order 6 hours earlier. 24 Titan-class. Warships were converging on the war zone, with orders to end the conflict by any means necessary. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth had been watching and waiting and preparing. The species that had been rejected as primitive and worthless was ready to show everyone what human determination could accomplish. The war would end not with the victory of either side, but with the emergence of a new galactic power. Barnes received new orders while evacuating survivors from another destroyed world. Return to Earth space immediately for reassignment to special operations. The message was signed by Fleet Admiral Thompson herself. Something big was about to happen, and Earth would need every experienced officer available. As her ship jumped toward home, Barnes looked back at the war zone one final time. The fighting had spread across half the galaxy, leaving destruction everywhere. Soon that would change. Soon humanity would step out of the shadows to restore peace. The galaxy that had mocked Earth's weakness was about to discover Earth's true strength. The first sign of change appeared on every sensor screen in the galaxy at exactly the same moment. 24 massive objects dropped out of hyperspace above the homeworlds of every major combatant species. The ships materialized without warning like metal mountains appearing in empty space. No one had detected their approach. Captain Ryan Burke stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderbolt as it settled into orbit above Zorathia Prime. Through the main view screen, he could see the insect homeworld spinning slowly below. Billions of Zorathians lived on the surface, completely unaware that a human warship now controlled their skies. The ship's stealth systems had hidden their arrival perfectly. Admiral Vextar received the alert while planning his final assault on the Helian core worlds. Unknown vessel detected in home system. Size classification impossible. No matching profiles in database. He dismissed the report as sensor malfunction. Nothing could appear in Zorathian space without being detected hours before arrival. Captain Steve Mason commanded the UES Hurricane above the Helian capital world. His ship hung motionless in the upper atmosphere like a steel cloud casting shadows on the blue oceans below. The Helians were too busy fighting their war to notice death floating silently above their heads. General Kixrath was studying battle reports when his communications officer burst into the command center. "Sir, you need to see this immediately." The main tactical display showed a vessel 12 kilometers long holding position directly above their most important military base. The ship had appeared without triggering any defensive systems. Fleet Admiral Kate Thompson broadcast her message from the UES Colossus positioned above Earth itself. Her words traveled instantly to every ship in the human fleet, and then to every communications network in the galaxy. The quantum transmission system ensured no delay and no interference. People of the galaxy. I am Fleet Admiral Kate Thompson of the Earth Navy. For too long you have engaged in warfare that threatens the extinction of entire civilizations. Billions have died while you pursue conflicts that serve no greater purpose than pride and greed. This ends now. Admiral Vextar laughed when the translation reached his command ship. Humans daring to threaten the great powers of the galaxy. The primitive species that had been rejected by the Council now claimed to possess military force. Their delusion would be corrected quickly and permanently. 24 ships of the Titan class now control the space above your most important worlds. Each vessel carries enough firepower to reduce planets to molten slag. We demand immediate ceasefire between all combatant forces. Any ship that fires a weapon will be disabled or destroyed at our discretion. The sensor readings began arriving at command centers throughout the galaxy. Ships 12 kilometers long. Hull composition unknown. Energy signatures beyond current measurement capability. The vessels appeared to be using technology that surpassed anything in known databases. Vextar ordered his fleet to engage the ship above Zorathia Prime. 43 vessels turned their weapons toward the UES Thunderbolt and fired simultaneously. Plasma cannons and particle beams and fusion torpedoes all targeted the human ship. The barrage contained enough energy to vaporize a small moon. Burke watched the incoming fire on his tactical display. The Thunderbolt's adaptive armor began analyzing each weapon type as the attacks struck home. The hull temperature rose slightly, but no damage registered on any system. The alien weapons were simply too primitive to penetrate human defensive technology. Dr. Alex Rodriguez monitored the engagement from the UES Colossus. The armor plating is learning from each impact. After the first few hits, it becomes completely immune to those weapon types. The Zorathians are essentially teaching our defenses how to resist their entire arsenal. Thompson decided a demonstration was needed to convince the aliens that resistance was futile. She targeted an uninhabited moon in the Zorathian system and fired a single quantum disruption pulse. The moon disappeared in a flash of twisted space-time, leaving only empty darkness where solid matter had existed. Silence fell across every communications channel in the galaxy. The casual destruction of an entire moon with a single shot defied every known law of physics and warfare. No weapon in the galactic arsenal could achieve such complete annihilation. The humans possessed technology from beyond current understanding. General Kixrath tried a different approach. The Helian fleet launched a coordinated assault using their fastest ships. Fighters and corvettes swarmed toward the UES Hurricane, using evasive maneuvers designed to confuse targeting systems. Surely volume of fire would succeed where individual power had failed. Commander Nina Brooks launched her own fighters to intercept the attack. Human craft emerged from the Hurricane's bays moving faster than anything the Helians had ever seen. The engagement lasted less than 30 seconds. Every alien ship was disabled without destroying a single vessel or killing any crew members. Brooks led her squadron back to the mothership after completing the intercept. The enemy fighters are intact but powerless. Their crews are unharmed. We used precision energy discharge to overload their electrical systems without causing structural damage. They'll need rescue ships to bring them home. The message was clear to everyone watching. Human forces could destroy their enemies completely or disable them without casualties. The choice of mercy over murder demonstrated restraint that none of the current combatants had shown. Power combined with wisdom rather than simple brutality. Burke received orders to escalate the demonstration. The Zorathians still had not grasped the reality of their situation. He targeted Admiral Vextar's entire battle group, with quantum disruption beams set to minimum power. Every ship lost propulsion and weapons simultaneously, while life support remained functional. 300 Zorathian warships floated helplessly in space. Their crews were alive but powerless to continue fighting. The ships could be repaired eventually, But the psychological impact was devastating. The pride of the Zorathian Empire had been neutralized without firing a single effective shot in return. Mason monitored alien communications networks as panic spread through every military command. The humans had appeared without warning above their most protected worlds. Human weapons ignored all known defenses while human defenses stopped all known attacks. The balance of power had shifted permanently. Thompson broadcast her final ultimatum to the galaxy. You have seen human naval power in action. You have learned that your weapons cannot harm us while ours can disable or destroy you at will. We offer one final opportunity for peaceful resolution. Accept immediate ceasefire or face the consequences. The Saurian Republic was the first to surrender. Their reptilian commander transmitted unconditional acceptance of human terms. The Vorthon alliance followed within minutes. Neither species wanted to face the fate that had befallen the Zorathian and Helian fleets. Admiral Vextar made one final attempt at defiance. He activated the planet-killer weapon hidden in deep space and targeted Earth itself. The massive beam fired across light years toward the human homeworld. Surely even advanced human technology could not stop such overwhelming force. Thompson had anticipated this move. The UES Colossus moved to intercept the planet-killer beam, using its own hull as a shield. The quantum disruption field around the ship absorbed the entire attack and converted the energy into harmless radiation. Earth remained completely unharmed. The counterattack came immediately. Thompson targeted the hidden Zorathian super dreadnought with maximum power quantum disruption. The ship and its planet-killer weapon vanished from existence without leaving any debris. The message was final and absolute. Vextar finally transmitted his surrender from the disabled flagship. The Zorathian Empire accepted human authority over the current conflict. General Kixrath followed with the same message from the Helian Federation. The war was over by decree of superior force. Rodriguez began analyzing the data collected during the engagements. Human technology had performed flawlessly against every type of alien weapon. The adaptive armor systems were already immune to 90% of galactic military hardware. Future improvements would make human ships completely invulnerable. Brooks supervised the rescue operations for disabled alien crews. Human ships moved through the debris fields, collecting survivors and providing medical assistance. The same force that had defeated their fleets now worked to save their lives, honor through strength and mercy. Burke updated his mission status as the Thunderbolt maintained position above Zorathia Prime. Primary objectives achieved. Enemy fleet neutralized without casualties. Galactic ceasefire established. Human naval superiority demonstrated beyond question. Ready for next phase operations. The galaxy had learned in a single day what Earth had spent 50 years preparing to teach. Human naval power was now the dominant force among the stars. The species that had been mocked and rejected now controlled the fate of all galactic civilization. The next phase would determine how that power was used. Admiral Jake Morrison returned to the same chamber where Earth had been rejected 6 months earlier. The Great Hall looked exactly the same, but everything else had changed completely. The floating platform still held delegates from dozens of worlds, but now they watched him with respect instead of contempt. Fear had taught them what diplomacy could. Not Admiral Vextar sat in his designated area with his head bowed low. The proud Zorathian warrior who had mocked human weakness now avoided eye contact with any Earth representative. His fleet remained disabled above his homeworld, as a reminder of what happened to those who chose violence over peace. General Kixrath showed more dignity in defeat, but the exhaustion was visible in every line of his body. The Helian military genius had spent his entire career preparing for war, only to discover that some conflicts could not be won through tactics and strategy. Superior technology made all conventional wisdom useless. Ambassador Lisa Carter took her place at the center of the chamber. The same spot where she had watched Earth's application be rejected now served as the foundation for a new galactic government. The humans were no longer asking for membership. They were offering leadership to species that had proven incapable of governing themselves. The new galactic compact was simple and direct. All member species would submit their military forces to human oversight. No fleet movements without Earth approval. No weapons development without human inspection. No conflicts between member species under any circumstances. Peace through strength rather than negotiations. Captain Ryan Burke reported from the UES Thunderbolt, now stationed permanently in the Kepler systems. The ship served as mobile headquarters for peacekeeping operations throughout the former war zone. Reconstruction efforts were proceeding ahead of schedule with human engineering assistance. The quantum communication system allowed instant coordination between all Titan-class ships. Fleet Admiral Kate Thompson could monitor every human vessel in real time, while directing operations across the galaxy. No conflict could begin without immediate human response. Dr. Alex Rodriguez announced the technology sharing program during the opening session of the new council. Earth would provide defensive improvements to all species that committed to peaceful exploration. Medical advances and agricultural techniques would follow for those who proved their dedication to nonviolence. The benefits were immediate and obvious. Worlds that had suffered under blockade during the war received food shipments within days. Human medical teams treated wounded soldiers from both sides without discrimination. The same species that had demonstrated overwhelming military power now showed equal commitment to healing. Commander Nina Brooks established the Galactic Peace Corps with volunteers from every major species. Human officers trained alien crews in advanced defensive tactics while learning about different approaches to conflict resolution. The exchange of knowledge benefited everyone involved. Brooks worked directly with former enemies to build understanding between species that had been killing each other months earlier. Zorathian discipline combined with Helion creativity produced innovative solutions to problems that had seemed impossible. Diversity became strength when properly directed. Captain Steve Mason coordinated intelligence sharing between all member species. The early warning system could detect potential conflicts before they developed into actual violence. Human analysis combined with alien local knowledge prevented dozens of wars during the first year of the new system. The economic recovery surprised everyone with its speed. Trade routes reopened under human protection. Merchant ships traveled safely between worlds that had been enemies. The galactic marketplace flourished when freed from the constant threat of military interference. Commander Julia Barnes led the refugee resettlement program. Millions of displaced civilians found new homes on worlds that had been closed to immigration for centuries. Human mediation resolved territorial disputes that had caused wars for generations. Practical solutions replaced political posturing. Morrison addressed the council after the first year of human leadership. The galaxy has achieved unprecedented peace and prosperity under the new Galactic Compact. Trade has increased by 400%. Military spending has decreased by 90%. Resources once wasted on weapons now fund exploration and research. The Saurian delegate rose to speak for the first time since the war ended. His reptilian features showed emotions that his species rarely displayed in public. The Republic acknowledges human wisdom in ending our destructive conflicts. We pledge continued cooperation with Earth leadership for the benefit of all galactic civilization. Similar declarations came from every member species. The Vorthan Alliance praised human fairness in mediating their border disputes. The crystal beings had gained new territories through negotiation rather than conquest. Peace proved more profitable than war for everyone involved. Admiral Vextar finally spoke near the end of the session. His voice had lost the arrogant clicking that had marked their first meeting. The Zorathian Empire was wrong to dismiss human capabilities. We are grateful for the mercy shown to our defeated forces. Honor demands acknowledgement of superior wisdom and strength. General Kixrath added his own tribute to human leadership. The Helion Federation has learned valuable lessons about the futility of total war. Human intervention saved both our species from mutual extinction. We accept Earth authority as beneficial for all galactic civilization. Carter announced the expansion of the technology sharing program during the second year. Earth would provide faster-than-light communication to all member worlds. Medical nanobots would be available for treating previously incurable diseases. Educational exchanges would spread human knowledge while learning from alien perspectives. The most remarkable change was in the attitudes of younger generations. Children who had grown up during the war now studied together in integrated schools. Zorathian and Helion students worked on joint projects that their parents could never have imagined. Peace was becoming normal for the first time in centuries. Thompson transmitted her final log entry from the UES Colossus on the 5th anniversary of human intervention. The galaxy that once mocked Earth's primitive navy now depends on human ships to maintain order. We have proven that true strength comes from the wisdom to protect rather than the power to destroy. The irony was not lost on any human officer. Earth had been rejected for membership in a galactic community that no longer existed. The old order of competing empires and constant warfare had been replaced by cooperative government under human guidance. The rejected had become the rulers. Burke updated the operational status from his patrol route through the former war zones. All systems peaceful, trade flowing normally, no military buildups detected, former enemy species working together on scientific projects, human naval power maintaining stability through visible presence rather than active threat. The Titan-class ships had become symbols of protection rather than destruction. When natural disasters struck member worlds, human vessels arrived first with rescue equipment and medical supplies. The same weapons that could destroy planets now powered relief operations and construction projects. Morrison concluded his speech to the Council with words that would be remembered for generations. Humanity did not seek to rule the galaxy through fear or conquest. We accepted the responsibility of leadership because no one else would stop the cycle of violence and revenge. Our success proves that peace is possible when backed by sufficient strength. The chamber that had once echoed with laughter at human weakness now filled with respectful applause for human achievement. The species that had been dismissed as primitive now guided galactic civilization toward a future none of them could have achieved alone. The galaxy had learned to respect Earth not through submission, but through gratitude. As the session ended, Morrison reflected on the journey from mockery to leadership. The aliens had been wrong about human technology and military capability. But more importantly, they had been wrong about human values. Earth had not used superior power to dominate, but to liberate the galaxy from its own destructive impulses. The future stretched ahead filled with possibilities that war had made impossible. Joint exploration missions to distant galaxies, scientific research that combined the knowledge of dozens of species, cultural exchanges that enriched every civilization. Peace had unlocked potential that conflict had wasted for millennia. The galaxy that had mocked Earth's navy now celebrated human ships as guardians of peace and prosperity. The Titan-class vessels remained on patrol not as conquerors, but as protectors. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not by demanding recognition, but by proving worthy of respect through actions rather than words.